You might be wondering how pressure groups actually differ from political parties and why they matter for your UPSC answers. By the end of this video, you will be completely clear about what pressure groups are and how to use this concept in an exam answer. Think of a pressure group as a team formed to push for a specific interest, like a club with a focused mission. They do not contest elections or try to capture power. They push the government instead by exerting influence on policy. Imagine them as specialized advisors and campaigners working alongside the government, not as a rival political army. At its core, a pressure group organizes people around shared needs and acts as a liaison between members and decision makers. The vocabulary you should keep in mind is interest group, vested group, and pressure group. They are often used interchangeably. Now let's visualize how they operate, using three simple techniques that students often mix up. First, electioneering. This is about supporting or placing people in office who are sympathetic to the group's aims. Second, lobbying. Here the group persuades officials and bureaucrats to adopt policies favorable to its members. Third, propagandizing. This means shaping public opinion through campaigns, media, and public debates to indirectly influence government decisions. Remember these three words: electioneering, lobbying, propagandizing. They form the practical toolkit of pressure groups. To make this tangible, picture a farmers group funding candidate outreach, meeting agriculture ministers, and running a media campaign about crop prices. That single example shows all three techniques working together to change policy outcomes without direct rule by that group. Next, let's break down key characteristics that make pressure groups effective or problematic. They are based on certain interests, so their structure follows the needs of members rather than broad ideological platforms. Pressure groups use both modern tools like social media and traditional methods like community networks and religious or caste links. Resource competition and rising demands push many groups to form, especially when political parties seem inadequate to address specific claims. Some groups reflect changing social consciousness. For instance, environmental or women's movements bringing new issues to the agenda. Types of pressure groups come in different shapes: institutional, associational, non-associational, and anomic groups. Institutional interest groups include parts of government machinery or professional associations, such as civil service associations. Associational groups are organized bodies like trade unions and chambers of commerce that pursue limited economic or social goals. Non-associational groups are informal kinship, caste, or regional networks that mobilize based on identity and traditional ties. Anomic groups are spontaneous and often explosive, like riots or sudden mass protests, and they pose distinct governance challenges. Let's link this to India with concrete examples you should remember for prelims and mains. Business groups include FICCI and ASSOCHAM. Trade unions include AITUC and INTUC. And professional bodies include the IMA and BCI. Agrarian pressure groups include the All India Kisan Sabha and Bharatiya Kisan Union, which frequently influence farm policy debates. Student organizations, religious organizations, caste groups, linguistic associations, and tribal groups all act as pressure groups in different contexts. Ideology-driven movements like the Chipko movement or India Against Corruption show how social causes can become sustained pressure groups. Note a few sensitive examples for your answers, but always discuss their role analytically rather than emotionally. Now, what do pressure groups actually do for democracy and governance? They articulate interests by bringing citizen demands to the notice of policymakers, a process central to representative systems. Pressure groups act as agents of political socialization by shaping how people view political processes and by linking citizens to the state. They influence administration through lobbying, which can speed up policy implementation or skew priorities depending on influence patterns. Many groups also use courts to seek redress or to challenge government actions, contributing to judicial activism in policy areas. Importantly, pressure groups help formulate public opinion and supply specialized information that can improve government decision making. For UPSC, stress how consultation with affected groups often improves policy quality and adds legitimacy to decisions. But they are not problem free, and exam answers must balance benefits with shortcomings. Shortcomings include narrow selfish interests that can fragment public good in favor of sectional gains, especially when caste or religion dominate. Pressure groups can be misused as political tools, creating clientelistic networks that undermine neutral policy making. Many groups are unstable, with loyalties shifting to align with short-term political opportunities rather than long-term public interest. Extremist or anomic groups can provoke instability and push governments into unpopular or repressive actions. When you write answers, link these weaknesses to governance concerns like accountability, inclusivity, and rule of law. Here is the exam insight most aspirants miss. Connect examples to functions and shortcomings in a balanced way, and you will score higher. In prelims, expect factual questions on specific groups or their techniques. In mains, expect analytical questions on their role in democracy. To answer well, use a short definition, illustrate with an Indian example, discuss functions and shortcomings, and end with a balanced conclusion. Quick recap. Pressure groups influence policy without contesting elections, using electioneering, lobbying, and propagandizing. They vary as institutional, associational, non-associational, and anomic types. And examples in India span business, agrarian, professional, student, and ideological groups. They improve representation and policy quality, but can also promote narrow interests, misuse power, and create instability. You are on the right track if your answers explain mechanisms, give clear examples, and weigh pros and cons. Keep practicing by writing short answers that pair a definition with one Indian example and one critique. If you want structured notes, model answers, or practice questions on pressure groups and other polity topics, EduRev has curated resources to help you revise efficiently. Stay curious, link theory to real examples, and join EduRev to continue sharpening your UPSC preparedness.